we should kick things off.
Yeah.
Who would like to lead today? I led the meeting last week.
I can lead this week. Just because I have a big thing to propose is like actually talking about what this responsibility is and going through it from there.
Can we take some time to put together the rotating list of whose job it is to do this next time now, so that we're voluntold to do it every week?
Yep. So let me pull up, because this is, let me pull up the agenda and we can use it as a template for, or not the proposal, and then we can use that as kind of a thing to go through. Sorry, a little spaced out. So this PR I just opened, I was supposed to do this last week, but I got it done earlier today. So this is where I propose what the process is for the TSC meetings. This is kind of what we've done informally, what I've said a few times. So every meeting is run by a member of the TSC. Here's the given responsibilities, kind of run through this as you're running the meeting. After the TSC, this is what you're supposed to do. And here's some information about where we've actually stored the recordings.
Wait, no, like, I guess this works for the README, but for the notes today, I guess, can we just put like a bulleted list of people who attended the call, and then like the next person in the bulleted list is slotted to take responsibility for running it next call? Should I just create a PR in OpenTofu org to do this?
I think that sounds reasonable. With the only reason I hesitated on that is sometimes we have people who are up for a few weeks, and then I guess we just skip them in the rotation.
How about I install like a small rotation app in Slack that handles people being away and things like this, and we can automate it that way. And then we're not doing PRs to update a pointer in a list.
I think as long as we don't have to choose to volunteer, we will be successful in having the responsibility shift.
Okay. So then the proposal is Yusuf puts together the list, and then we look at that list toward the end of the meeting saying, okay, this is the person who's going to be assigned to do it next and should prepare to be at that meeting.
No, I think James is going to install an app used in Slack for assigning somebody to do this. It will pick up human, and then presumably you already used this app before, and there's some way to say, we're skipping this person today, go to the next person on the list. Okay.
Yep, and it will swap people around so it understands people on vacation and things like this. We can sort it out. That's no problem.
Okay. All right, not Slack list. Slack.
Rotation app or something.
Yeah, sure. So I can do that after the meeting. So what I propose for today is we go through this as if we were following this normally, and then you can leave comments and suggestions on this PR afterwards if we want to make any changes to the proposed process.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. All right, so we've ensured the meeting recording is functional. We've also now have an additional item of make sure that Google Meet hasn't broken the settings, which it did today. The Google Meet in the calendar says it's open to everyone. I had to go in and manually set that because Larry wasn't able to join. Thank you for letting us know, Larry.
No problem.
I can add the note after the meeting. Kick off the meeting when all attendees are present. Everyone who's we're planning on having it here is here, so we're continuing on. I will be relying on the recording for the notes and reviewing the action items from the previous TSC meeting. James recently put a PR in to add those previous notes, so let's take a look through those. All right. Have all the changes been made to finalize Larry's move from? It's technically committer to maintainer. We should update the notes.
Yeah, everything's been moved across, and I've also written down a document in case we need to do it again in the future, because there's a lot of steps. It was a lot of like emailing the Linux Foundation and setting up PRs in like 4 repos, and a bunch of accounts all over the place. That's done. Action items are all listed at the bottom, by the way, Christian, in case
Oh, yes, thank you. All right, this SOP is what we're following currently. Looking to automated YouTube uploads.
We discussed at the start of this meeting. I don't think it's possible with the direct, but we can investigate more.
Yep. Did you check to see if the detailed notes are a LF requirement?
That is an action item on me to try and catch someone at KubeCon and to discuss it next week.
Okay, I will pull this into the next one because we're and we got some reviews on that. I've also after that was merged, spoken with Yusuf at length, and we'll continue to talk to the tacos on how that will improve the workflow here and there. I think the conversation we had, I think last night was really productive. So, cool. All right. Next thing is, did I skip? Apparently, I missed the piece that is actually look at the issue. Oh yeah, sorry. Leave the discussion of the topics present with this week's agenda. My apologies. I'm still a little bit tired from this weekend. Okay. So we have this, so which we're discussing actively, and this right here. This is a discussion that OpenTofu maintainers have been having back and forth for, I guess, since September 16th, but more vigorously in the past couple weeks. We still ship builds for both for OpenTofu and the providers. We ship builds for Darwin, AMD64, and a bunch of x86 builds. This is James. Do you want to? Because I'm going to go too far into depth with this. How would you like to?
I can summarize it super quickly. All right, so Darwin AMD64 means Intel Macs, which aren't really supported anymore with an upcoming version of Mac OS. Homebrew is already dropping support for it, etc., etc. And then the rest are 32-bit builds, where 32-bit systems are being phased out almost everywhere, including in the Go runtime library. There's a 3 bullet point section that Christian can highlight in the middle there, the Mac OS 26 one. Which is talking about the different types of things that may force our hand on any of these. Higher up, I think I did put a table somewhere showing the statistics and downloads of the emboldened items, or what we are proposing deprecating support for. So what this means and what the team is discussing is that we will continue building these. The builds aren't going to disappear for now. We will discuss phasing out the builds of those to a later date. But in the meantime, we will not be supporting those. So we will recommend that people move from Darwin AMD64 to ARM64. We recommend move from 32-bit systems to 64-bit systems. We saw that the amount of downloads is extremely low. And I actually suspect that most of those downloads are just people scraping GitHub releases. And I think we kind of have an agreement, which is Martin Atkins's bottom post, where what we would like to do is phase out support for those systems. Then in the long run, in a year or so, we stop shipping builds for those systems. We make large analysis about this, that this is going to happen. And then something as engineers have decided fully is that we're going to reduce our PR checks. So we're not doing 32-bit systems. We're not going to do old emulated systems through GitHub Actions. So what we would like to ask you guys is, do you have any reservation about dropping support for Intel Macs and 32-bit systems? Igor, you got your hand up first.
No, I really like how it's added, like who raised their hand first. Nice improvement. I have only one, so like I'm totally in for deprecating those platforms, but also like I'm not sure that we should continue to build them. We can create like a manual, like if users really want them, they can build them by themselves, and I think it won't be a problem. But like I believe we should not just build them. we deprecate, we don't support them. Here's the manual, how you can build them if you want. It will work for as long as it will work, or like whatever the cadence, and that's it. Otherwise, it's just like trying to do like CPR on already dead patient.
Do you mind if I just respond to you go first, Yusuf? Is that okay? Yeah, I think we kind of agree, but there is one hesitation, which is just we want to give people enough notice if they're already on a 32-bit system for some reason. So we have a release coming up within the next month, maybe. We should probably put an announcement in there and then get rid of them for the next build.
Yeah,
or one
like
after.
in this release, this will be the last time we automatically build those platforms. Starting from next release, like if you want to build these platforms, here's the manual how to do this, but we will not like provide packages by default.
Okay.
Yusuf?
I was going to ask if we considered adding a build flag so that we can emit a warning on those platforms when you use the Darwin AMD 64 that the platform won't be supported in the future. Folks don't read blog posts, so if we can have the binary tell you that you should move off it, that's probably the most reliable way.
I think that's a really good idea. And there was another conversation in this as well, which is because Mac allows you to run Darwin AMD 64 on Darwin ARM 64. It allows you to run Intel-based binaries on the ARM-based system. There are some people who get mixed up and accidentally use the Darwin AMD 64, and things are a lot slower for them because it goes through the emulation. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. So yeah, maybe we should add a warning for this. That's a really good idea. Add an action item, Christian.
Okay.
Just to call it out, like there's install scripts that folks have probably written that probably haven't accounted for ARM, and it's worked, so they haven't cared. They don't care about the performance difference of the emulation. So this probably will be a breaking change for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just unused platforms losing support, and I don't think it's entirely like scraping. Similarly, I guess I can add a note to the agenda for later for a different topic. I will hold that down. So that's my feedback here. If we can try to be proactive with the binary, letting you know that it's going to be removed, and when it's no longer going to be supported, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah. I fully agree that we want this to be as surpriseless as possible and make sure users are not caught off guard.
Yusuf, do you have statistics from TerraGrant on usage of this like platforms? Maybe you have like a bigger picture of like because like I assume like if somebody uses TerraGrant of that version, it's like I'm not sure that this will be a scrapper. So it can show us like a better picture of like what's the real action usage of these platforms.
I can take a look into it. So I believe the GitHub API gives you total downloads at points in time. It doesn't give you historical data.
Mm-hmm.
So I can probably give you like latest releases, how many folks are downloading TerraGrant on these different platforms. I don't know that we support the same set of platforms. There probably should be like an effort made to synchronize those two so that, is always well supported.
Just to have like another data point.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, I think we're quite in a favorable situation where we are deprecating something that somebody's already migrated from Terraform to OpenTofu or has set up a new system. This isn't a case where someone's been using the same software and patching it on an old box for a long time. Like there's been a migration path, and people are maybe more likely to respond to change. That's my personal opinion. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I suspect if this is a breaking change for anybody, we're talking single digits. Just to talk about the numbers for OpenTofu again, Christian, if you scroll up to the table, the top one. This is all stable versions, so everything we've ever shipped in OpenTofu. For example, Darwin AMD 64 has only had 17,000 downloads. I suspect a lot of those are people scraping our GitHub release downloads, at least 1,000 of those. And with it being 0.07% of our total usage, it's a very small number over almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
How Darwin ARM64. What Darwin AMD 64? Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
One note for the BSD variants is that there was a bug with our provider build process, so that providers were not available on those platforms for OpenTofu up until a little while ago, and only for new versions at this point. That's something we thought we fixed over a year and a half ago, and we didn't actually verify, which is unfortunate. So those numbers will hopefully go up. FreeBSD, I believe, James, you were saying, has their own custom build process that actually builds the providers for their platform and includes it within the package. And hopefully within the next little while, they can remove that complexity from their infrastructure.
Yeah. Yusuf?
I should have asked at the top, do we know if Terraform still supports these platforms?
I haven't looked at them dropping support, but I do know that they are adding support for Windows ARM. Is it, Christian?
Yeah, Windows ARM 64.
But I don't know about them dropping support. I'll have to have a look.
I mean,
Sorry.
It totally makes sense to have like our own, platform support desires, but whenever possible, if we can at least have a stance on whether we want to maintain a migration path for folks on particular platforms to OpenTofu, that would probably be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
The only data I have is, I think, James, when it was shortly after the fork, we started running the tests on 32-bit systems, and you had to fix a bunch of bugs on those platforms. So even if they do support it officially, they were not testing on it, at least at the time of the fork.
The only comments I have about Terraform's 32-bit support are personal anecdotal information, and not one I want to share on a public video. But there was very little 32-bit support in the unit testing.
Well, I guess resolution of that is just like, if we drop Darwin AMD 64, there should probably be a page that says, if you were using Terraform Darwin AMD 64, you should be using Darwin ARM 64. You might have been using the AMD 64 by mistake.
Yep.
And to be clear, we're not planning on starting that process until one of these conditions is met. At the earliest of one of these following events occurs: end of life Tahoe, or the Go project says we no longer support Tahoe. 32 bits, like, just we're saying this is all we're considering it deprecated and are taking our effectively after this decision, starting to take steps to make that known.
Okay, cool.
All right, I believe that was everything on the agenda. Is there any additional items?
I had one more thing I realized as we were discussing. I was benchmarking that nightly you asked me to try out, Christian. And I realized that we don't do Apple signing and probably not Windows signing for the nightlies. Is that something we want to keep not doing?
I think we don't do it for our main builds either.
No, you must.
Nope.
Don't
If
do
you're
Apple.
installing through Homebrew, I assume that they're doing something some way, but we don't do it in OpenTofu.
I'm installing through Mies, which is gonna go through Aqua, and Aqua is gonna download the binaries and then use Um, yeah.
Yep. So here are the two issues that we've discussed this, but we have had issues actually getting functional.
Yeah, so the macOS notarization, can you go to the last comment in that one? I believe internally we were discussing about if we were to do it, what company holds the key? Does the Linux Foundation? Does one of the founding members? And we never really figured it out. And then literally hardly anybody's complained about it.
That's really weird. I don't know why that happened. I got the warning. Sorry about my dog. I got the warning that I should throw away the nightly, but I don't get that when I install stable releases. And I guess maybe it'll do some variant of don't panic about this binary CLI command from Xcode or whatever.
How did you say you were installing Tofu again?
With Mies via Aqua. I believe Aqua is the backend for OpenTofu.
Okay. We can investigate.
I'll do some digging on that one.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's something that people haven't asked for. I was going to actually say we just close this issue one day, but I just think it's got 14 upvotes. Maybe we can discuss. But the question is just who holds the PKI, the things like that.
I think it would make sense for just for what it's worth, for Linux Foundation to hold the keys to this.
If not, now we're a part of the CNCF, we can request an OpenTofu specific one password that we could store such information in and set up.
Cool.
All right. So are there any action items you want to take out of that immediately? Okay. All right, that is that particular item. Determining if we talked about that on rotation, we'll ensure offline that whoever gets picked will be available for that meeting. And now, end the meeting. I guess before we get to that, are there any particular additional comments you have that you'd like to bring up while we're all here about this particular process and run through? Is it fairly straightforward?
Looks fine.
Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for your time. I'll have the notes posted and the meeting uploaded within the next day or two. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day.
Cheers all. Bye.